Good evening. Thank you, Simrit, for this introduction. And one of the good job which has been done by the previous speakers is that my talk actually has been made simpler. And whatever data I'm actually going to show is possibly in a different way or in a refined way. Now, since this debate is about the early versus late transplant, so I would discuss this early transplant in these headings: the definition, the patient population, the concept of complete remission, different levels of complete remission, what are the problems with the late transplant, and the international guidelines. And first we will discuss about what is the definition of early and late transplant. The early transplant is when after 3 to 4 cycles of chemotherapy, you harvest the stem cells and then do the transplant. In the late transplant, after 3 to 4 cycles of chemotherapy, you again harvest the stem cells, but then you use transplant as rescue for the patients who are developing primary resistance or at relapse in responders. And this is the most common definition which is used in only one of the paper, which is the MAG 90 trial published in Blood. Now the important thing to realize is that there are two important parameters when you are using the definition of late transplant. One, that you are harvesting the stem cells earlier, after 3 to 4 cycles of chemotherapy. And the second, you are using this only in responders. Now let's look at the patient population who actually is eligible for an early transplant. This is one of the newly diagnosed multiple myeloma patients who are eligible for transplantation. This is the treatment for that. The high risk, intermediate risk, and the standard risk. The high risk constitute approximately 15%. The intermediate approximately 10%. Here there is no confusion when to do a transplant. The confusion lies here that in this standard risk, after 4 cycles of chemotherapy, whether you want to go for an early transplant or a delayed transplant, and this is here where the debate is. Now let's look at the age-wise prevalence of multiple myeloma in the community. 37% less than 65 years of age and more than 75 years of age, and between 65 to 74 years, 26%. And when you look at the transplant, more than 75, you are not doing any transplants. Between 65 to 74 years, depending upon the various comorbidities, less than 65, you are planning to do transplant, and either early or late. In these 37%, you have 75% patients who are standard risk, where the question is of early versus late transplant. That means this figures reduced to 27%. Further, 30 to 50% patients present with renal failure, and hence they are high risk. And as Simrit said, they are the patients for transplant, early transplant. So this figure actually reduced to 18%. 20% initial chemo resistance or comorbidities. And finally, this figure actually remains at 15%. So that means when we are debating this issue, early versus late transplant, this is about the 15% of patients. So thus, this debate of early versus late transplant is only for 15% of patients. Dr. Kazil Bash is smiling actually at me. The 85% of myeloma patients would require either early transplant because of the high-risk disease or are not eligible because of the age and comorbidities. Now let's look at the concept of complete remission. All the previous speakers have told you about the achieving a complete response, because complete response has been correlated with the long-term survival and progression-free survival in patients with multiple myeloma. Now these are the response subcategory which is given by the International Myeloma Group. The complete remission is defined as negative immunofixation on the serum and urine, disappearance of any soft tissue plasmacytoma, and less than 5% plasma cells in the bone marrow. And the stringent is when the normal free light chain ratio is also there. So this is what we are aiming at when we are treating patients of myeloma. Now let's look at the complete remission rates with different anti-myeloma treatment. And if you look at that, the conventional medicines 3%, 8%, Thaldexa, VAD 11 to 16%, and with an autologous stem cell transplant, 20 to 44%. So if your aim is to achieve a CR in a multiple myeloma patient, the obvious choice is that this patient should undergo a transplant. Now this is the paper, which is international, the French group paper, which is published in 1996, and you can see the complete remission rate with conventional therapy as well as with the high dose therapy. And this is the MRC trial, which is again talked about by Simrit. You can see the response rate 8% versus 44%. So that means what transplant has given to you is a proof of concept that if you do a high dose chemotherapy followed by a stem cell rescue, you are getting a high chances of complete remission. And if you achieve a CR, this will lead to progression-free survival. Now let's look at what is the impact of novel agents for the achievement of CR in newly diagnosed patients. Now these are the different CR rates with the newer agents. So when you add thalidomide to the melphalan prednisolone, from 3% you go to 16%. You add lenalidomide, you go to 24%. And when you add bortezomib, it goes to 13 to 36%. And since it is overlapping with what you get with an autologous transplant, that's why the confusion is there whether to use the novel agents or do the autologous transplant. However, if you look at the individualizing treatment of patients with myeloma in the era of novel drugs, this is a paper which is published in JCO. Look at the pre-transplant versus post-transplant. Pre-transplant 21%, post-transplant 41%. Pre-transplant 13%, 40%. And the same rates actually, whatever you are achieving the rates with by using a novel agents, you are getting much more complete remission after using of transplant. And this is one of the paper from the Korean multiple myeloma group, again stating that the CR rates before autologous stem cell transplant is very, very important. And the patient who actually achieves CR before transplant have a better overall survival than those patients who are in PR. And this is the paper which has again been discussed by the last two speakers, talking about the 3-drug induction therapy before double autologous transplant. And in this paper, as has been said previously, you achieve from 19% to 38% after the first autologous transplant, and from 38% to 42% after the second autologous transplant. And then after consolidated therapy, you are achieving, the response rates are going up to 49%, the CR rates, and the overall 58%. So this is what you are achieving when you are performing an early transplant. And this is the ECOG study, again has been talked by Simrit. This study again actually said that if you use the lenalidomide plus dexamethasone followed by an early transplant, it supports the continuous use of early consolidative therapy with transplant. This is the PITHIMA group study. Again, it has been shown the achievement of high CR. So I'm just go through that. So that means induction with novel agents are complementary rather than alternative treatment approaches when you are treating a patient of multiple myeloma. Now let's look at the different levels of complete remission. When you talk of a complete remission, there are several levels of complete remission. And one of the slides was shown by one of the previous speakers. The important thing is to attain a sustained CR. In the complete remission, which is sustained at 3 years from the treatment initiation, is a powerful surrogate extended survival in multiple myeloma. And this is the Bart Berlogi group. Again, this is from the MD Anderson, and you can see that Kazil Bash is one of the author in that, and I don't know how he's going to defend that. At 2 years, if the patient has a CR, the subsequent median survival was 9.7 years for that patient. So that means not only to achieve a CR, but it has to be a sustained CR. And this is the long-term prognostic significance of response in multiple myeloma. Again, looking at 344 patients with multiple myeloma who received a transplant between 1989 and 1998. 35% of patients in the CR group and 11% in the NCR group are alive at 17 years. 17 years, 35% of patients. Meaning thereby, the relapse rate is low in patients more than 11 years of follow-up, possibly signifying a cure. That means you are possibly achieving a plateau phase in these patients if you are doing a transplant early in this. So when we are talking of the response criteria, we also have to talk about the MRD negative or immunophenotyping negative CR criteria. And this is one of the paper which shows about the importance of MRD negative. And this is again the comparison of different levels of CR with immunofixation and the prognostic importance of that, saying that achieving an immunophenotyping negative MRD translate into superior progression-free survival and TTP compared with conventional CR. Now, after discussion about this, let's look at what are the problems with late transplant. This is one of the paper which has looked at actually on those patients who had relapse after they have received therapy with immunomodulatory drugs or bortezomib. And this is by the multi-center International Myeloma Working Group. It's a large paper, but just focus on that. The patients who actually relapse after the first line, the novel agents therapy, it has poor outcome once the patient become refractory to current treatment. So you don't want to wait till that time when you are having a relapse with the novel agents. And why it happens so? Because there are minor clones which provides a reservoir for relapse in myeloma. So if you leave these minor clones, then you are going to have a relapse in these patients. This is the MAG-90 trial, which is the only randomized trial which has looked at the early transplant versus late transplant. However, there are problems even in this paper also. In the late transplant group, you can see that there were 2 deaths. And before transplant, there were 7 more deaths, unusable peripheral blood stem cells. So that means you are already losing 10 patients if you are planning to do a late transplant. Whereas in early transplant, you are just doing, all those patients actually are undergoing transplant. And this is the graph of showing overall survival and event-free survival in the early transplant versus in the late transplant group. And focus on the twist. And what is twist? Twist is time without symptoms, treatment, and treatment toxicity, which is most important parameter when you are considering early versus late transplant. And in this paper, the clinical benefits were seen, or this twist was seen only for early treatment. Further, the TRM during the first post-transplant year was 9% and 14% in the early and late groups. So that means if you are doing a late transplant, even the TRM is higher in that group in the first 1 year. And when you look at the papers who have compared early transplant versus late transplantation, look at the in between the lines. You have to read it in between the lines. 67 had transplant, 9 died of progressive disease before transplantation. They never actually went up to the transplantation. And this is what happens. If you wait for too long, the age, chemotherapy load are predictive of poor stem cell mobilization in patients with hematological malignancies. And these are the guidelines where they have actually given a lot of side effects with the novel agents, thalidomide, bortezomib, and lenalidomide. And you don't want actually these patients should suffer from so many side effects. Further, if you are using lenalidomide, you know that it can impair the stem cell collection. And then there are many case reports looking at the side effects of the novel agents, which actually we never look at them very closely. Non-thromboembolic pulmonary hypertension with thalidomide, bortezomib-induced congestive heart failure, severe cardiac heart failure in myeloma patients due to bortezomib, coronary artery disease with bortezomib in a patient of myeloma, so much so that there is an editorial on that which says too much of a good thing is bad. That means proteasome inhibition induces test hearts to fail. So you also have to consider these facts when you are considering a patient for a late transplant. And finally, after discussion all this, let's look at the international guidelines. What do the guidelines say? And these are the guidelines from the British Committee for Standards in Hematology. Timing of autologous stem cell transplant. Currently, no evidence to support deferral of the first transplant until the time of first relapse. So I'm not saying that. These are the guidelines which is stating that. Let's look at the other guidelines. International Myeloma Working Group guidelines. Again saying that the usual choice of giving 3 to 2 cycles of induction therapy to minimize the depth of response before transplant represent a reasonable balance between maximum benefit, and hence it should continue be considered the preferred approach for a patient who is eligible to tolerate high-dose chemotherapy. So finally, this is the Olympic symbol, which says the motto is CTS, LTS, Fortius, meaning thereby faster, higher, and stronger. The early transplant just follows the Olympic motto. Thank you very much.